Welcome back to Fox and Friends, where I'm live in Atlanta ahead of Georgia's crucial Senate runoff. In just 3 days, voters will decide which party has control of the Senate. Early voting ended in the state with a record 3 million ballots cast. Democrat Raphael Warnock is challenging Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler, and Democrat Jon Ossoff is hoping to defeat Republican incumbent David Perdue. Senator David Perdue joins me now here on Fox and Friends this morning. Good morning, Senator. I believe we were supposed to be sitting right here next to each other on set, but you are in quarantine after coming into close contact with someone with coronavirus. How are you doing, and how is that affecting your campaigning over the final 3 days?
Good morning, Will. Well, my wife and I were in contact with a member of our team that tested positive, and we're following our doctor's guidelines and the CDC guidelines. And so we're doing fine, no symptoms. And what this will do is just change the way that we're ending up this campaign. These last 3 days are really critical to get our vote out on Tuesday. So I'm here doing media, making phone calls, and participating in our events virtually. We've got a lot of surrogates in town. The president's coming Monday night for a big rally in Dalton. The vice president will be here on Monday at noon. We have several other surrogates coming this weekend as well. So we're going morning to night and driving this home to make sure we get our vote out. We know what's at stake here in this election in Georgia.
Senator, we understand the president, I'm sure, is going to be very crucial to the turnout here in Georgia. But just to clarify and make sure, in the coming 3 days, you will have to remain in quarantine. You will not be able to make those campaign stops that you had intended?
Well, unfortunately, that's correct. I mean, this is what the protocol is, and we're going to follow the protocol. But it doesn't change how we're going to execute. We still have people that will have these events. The president is still coming. Kelly Loeffler will certainly be there. Sonny Perdue is out campaigning with us as well. So our team is out there. We just finished a 125 stop bus tour. In fact, our 100th stop was Thursday night or Wednesday night, the night we discovered that we had this problem. And so we're out there, and we're going to complete that 125 stop bus tour. And so we're going to get this vote out. Republicans are notorious for voting on Election Day. And we've already had over 3 million people vote so far in early voting and absentee voting. And I'm confident that we'll be north of 4 million votes at the end of Tuesday.
I want to talk about your confidence, Senator, if we might. You talk about Republicans turning out on Election Day. I saw you yesterday on America's Newsroom say you are winning. You believe that you and Kelly Loeffler are winning as it stands right now. Here's what the vote count stands, or the turnout stands right now. Early voting, 3 million as of December 31st. Comparing that to 4 days before the election, November, 3.6 million at that time. There are indicators, I would think, that would give you some concern. Early voting often favors Democrats. Polling, but you and I both know how valuable polling has been over the last several years, but polling indicates perhaps it's trending in the way of Ossoff and Warnock as well. So what indicators do you see that are showing that you and Kelly Loeffler are winning right now?
My personal contact with people over the last 2 months, the real people in Georgia out in small towns from Hayhire to Hiawassee. The energy level was exactly where it was in November when the polls had me down 5 points. We won by 2. As a matter of fact, 52.5% of Georgians rejected Jon Ossoff and this Democratic liberal agenda in November. Same thing happened in 2014. I don't put a lot of stock in polls. I look at this early voting, and I'm very confident with the president coming Monday night, the vice president coming Monday, and what we're doing with our team over the next 3 days. Kelly Loeffler and I will get this vote out on Tuesday, and we'll save America. That's what this is about. This is the last line of defense from this radical socialist agenda, Will.
Yeah, we've talked about what that agenda might include throughout the morning. I do have to ask you about your opponent, Jon Ossoff. Coming up in just a moment on Fox and Friends will be Peter Doocy. He attempted to press Jon Ossoff on his business connections in China with connections to the Chinese Communist government. I know you've been talking about this. Now, he's been somewhat evasive, so I don't know exactly what his answer would be if pressed fully, if Peter were able to get more time with him, if he answered it directly. But I think his response, Senator, is, I do business all over the world. I have business in multiple countries, and my business in China is just like with anywhere else. What is your case? What are you concerned about with Jon Ossoff and the business in China?
Well, this is a ripening scandal, as we now know. He hid his involvement with the Communist Chinese Party during his primary. He got caught. He lied about it. He then filed another report with the federal authorities that did disclose that he did take money from the Chinese Communist Party, and then lied about it again in a debate. This is unlike other businesses that he has. He's not in business. I mean, he is a documentary journalist. He hasn't really ever created an American job. This is a business bought for him by his daddy. He's a trust fund kid that really wants to be in politics since he was in high school and will do anything, as we saw in this campaign, to avoid talking about the issues. Look, Peter did the right thing the other day. He asked the right question, and what did John Ossoff say? He accused him of being a serious journalist. Well, that's exactly what he was doing. Peter was being a serious journalist and asking the right question. John Ossoff has never answered the question about his relationship with Communist China. This gives me great pause in relative terms to what happened with Swalwell and what we now know is coming out about Hunter Biden. The Chinese Communist Party is notorious for identifying young, ambitious, liberal politicians here in the last few years. And that's what we have going on with John Ossoff.
Many, many issues potentially at stake here should the Democrats control the Senate, including potential structural changes to the filibuster or the number of senators. There's no overstating how important these two races in Georgia are. Senator David Perdue, thank you for joining us this morning on Fox and Friends.
Thanks, Will.
You bet. All right, over to you, Jedediah.